you're unlikely to be the first one in the entire world that's thought about what you're doing. You're unlikely to be the first one or the only one that's like focusing on something, even if you're not able to find it in your search.
Kia ora team, Richard Liu here, editor at nzentrepreneur.co.nz, and today I'm joined by Saba Samiei from Auckland. Saba is the founder at MACSO. Thank you so much for taking time to chat to us today, Saba.
Kia ora, Richard, and everybody else who's watching and listening, and thanks for having me.
For those who haven't heard of MACSO, and I know there's a whole story behind the name as well, which is kind of interesting, but can you just tell our viewers what it is you're working on?
Sure. So the whole idea behind MACSO came from the fact that I realized that pretty much we can say this trend started since the Industrial Revolution, when we started replacing humans with machines and automating processes and taking humans out of the loop in as many cases as possible. Now, while that has commercially been quite beneficial, the machines or processes that we replace humans with don't replace everything that a human does. And in particular here, I'm talking about our sensory system. So as humans, when something happens, we can see it, or if not, we can hear it. If we need to, we get close to it, we taste it, we smell it, we touch it. And then based on all of those inputs, we make a conclusion as to what the next course of action should be. But by having replaced humans with things that don't offer this service, if you want to call it, and having business and environmental issues that are growing a lot faster than we can train humans to be present everywhere at all times, we are left with a gap that can really do with a trained human sensory system. And that's what we're doing at MACSO. That's where we come in. We're creating that platform that can process different types of sensory inputs with the goal to save as many lives as possible and as much operational cost as possible as well for our clients.
Can you give us an example or some examples of how this might play out in real life, so to speak? What might be some of the applications that you're sort of working towards, or that might be the result of this work that you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. We actually broke our roadmap into basically the 5 senses of the human. The first one we went to was human ear, or in other words, audio. So creating something that can process audio signals. And the first use case that we created a solution for was using AI-enabled audio sensors for respiratory health monitoring of livestock. And that's with the intention of limiting disease spread. So by now, we're all very familiar with a word called a pandemic. And that's mainly because humans had to go through it at such a large scale. But animals go through pandemics and plants go through pandemics. But animals, unlike humans, they're not able to articulate, when they're not feeling well. And often by the time, usually, especially in intensive farming, by the time farmers or vets kind of realize that they have sick animals, it's likely that it would have already caused an outbreak or would have gone from like one barn to another. So what we're doing is we're training AI audio sensors to listen for signs of respiratory illness 24/7 and alert the farmers as soon as they detect a sick pig. So basically, we're training a human ear to be present 24/7 everywhere on a farm. The second use case is we have created a solution in partnership with a company called PR Systems that have state-of-the-art air quality monitoring sensors. So if you think about our audio sensor as a human ear, you can think about this somewhat as a human nose. And with them, we've been able to create a solution that can classify different types of aerosol data. What that means is, historically, with air quality monitoring devices, you get a notification that your air quality is bad. What we are doing is now identifying the source of that pollutant. So we can tell them your air quality is bad because someone's smoking or vaping somewhere, or because you've got like a bushfire smoke that's coming from miles away. If you're in the construction industry, there might be aerosols in the air that are harmful for you to breathe in. So it's basically detecting the source so that it's that the clients can attend to eliminate that source quicker and faster. Say, for example, you can have those in schools. I know there's a big issue with students vaping in school bathrooms. And in particular, they like mask it with X spray or body spray. And so we've now trained devices to be able to distinguish what's vape, what's perfume. And that's another sensor that can be present everywhere 24/7, instead of having a human present to detect these sorts of risks at early stages, and then alert whoever is the decision maker or the action taker to then go in and resolve the issue.
Can I just ask, like, as a founder, there are so many applications in what you're working on. So you said, you're roughly mapping out the 5 different sensors and then looking at how we can use technology to assist on each of those threads. Mm-hmm. When you're looking to build a business, though, we're trying to find a customer segment, find a problem they want to fill or to fix, and then provide a solution to fix it. Mm-hmm. How on earth are you deciding what to put your time and focus on? Because the applications for this wide-ranging sort of technology are pretty huge.
Yeah, no, that's a very good question, and it's something that we often get. As a startup, it's very important for us to stay focused. So we've actually turned down some of the basically requests that have come our way, just because we want to make sure that we kind of don't go off the track with, especially with where we want to go. So usually when we look at use cases, we have a flow chart that we follow. So the first one is the use case something that helps us get to where we want to get to ultimately? 2, does the hardware for this use case exist? So in brackets, I should mention that for our animal health solution, we couldn't find that hardware that we could put our AI on. But because it was our first use case, we wanted to prove capability. We wanted to kind of address that need in the market. We created using off-the-shelf component, but our own hardware. And we're pretty proud of it too. But going forward, the intention is our commercial model is partnering with hardware companies. So for other use cases after animal health, we won't go directly to that end customer. We would work with a hardware partner that already has the hardware identified in need. So then these are the other things. Do we have a hardware partner for that? Is it a scalable solution? So is it addressing a need that's like big enough in the industry? And then we look at, does bringing in the solution help us create that backbone of the technology that we want to build? Do we have the skill set to build it? If not, is it easy to hire, or can we quickly hire it? And so we kind of like go through all of these questions before we say yes or no to the use case that we want to go after.
Some good insights there for any founders watching who also maybe faced with the same dilemma. What we say no to is just as important, if not more important, than what we say yes to, right? So you're currently you're undergoing another fundraising round. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Sure. So it's a $2 million New Zealand round. It's a safe round, simple agreement for future equity and for founders who want to go look this up. And it's going great. We're 83% subscribed. We've got a little bit to go. So we've gotten a funnel of investors that are looking at it. So hopefully we'll be able to close that soon. And then we'll be looking to raise again, probably Q3 or later this year as well. And then that one we would look at kind of like a bigger raise, because the focus with the current raise would be to improve the product, but also sales and marketing, creating a pipeline, closing a few deals that we have in the pipeline, and then looking at a bigger raise later this year.
Well, thank you so much for the update, and we'll be following your progress with interest. Any last words you'd like to share with potential founders out there watching this, maybe they're coming from deep tech or research-based sort of angle, yeah, what would you like to say?
I don't know what to say that doesn't sound cliche, that, you know, a lot of people have already said like many times, but I think anything in deep tech in particular, by definition, is something that you're doing new. You're unlikely to be the first one in the entire world that's thought about what you're doing. You're unlikely to be the first one or the only one that's like focusing on something, even if you're not able to find it in your search. But you are most likely to be one of the few people in the world that are doing it, and you don't find references, you don't have anything to kind of like circle back to or lessons learned from many other people. So don't think that's unique to you. If you're kind of in that situation, don't think that's unique. If that helps, it still wouldn't take the pain away, but at least you're not alone.
It won't take the pain away. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Saba. That's fantastic.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.